Am I wrong for calling my boyfriend a lying piece of for not getting me the perfume that I wanted for my birthday? I, 21 female, am really into beauty, makeup, skincare, perfumes, etc., and collect perfumes. There's one perfume I've been wanting for quite some time now, but it's been way out of my budget. I'm a college student working a part-time job at the movie theater, which pays about 13 bucks an hour, and I have other priorities to pay for, so it's taken a while for me to save up. I'd finally saved up the amount I needed and was planning on buying myself the perfume as a birthday gift. I told my boyfriend 20 mil this, and he told me to go spend my money on something else and he buy me the perfume instead. I told him he didn't have to, considering it's expensive, but he insisted. A few days before my birthday, I asked him if he was sure about buying it and told him again that I had no problem buying it myself. He told me not to worry about it and said he already bought it and wrapped it. I thanked him and figured since he already bought it that I could spend my money on something else. I took my best friend and my younger sister out to a nice restaurant and to the movies after. I wasted more than half the money I saved up, but obviously didn't think anything of it. So on my birthday, my boyfriend gave me a gift and it was a body spray and bath bomb. I asked him what happened to the perfume, and he told me it was a lot more expensive than he expected and way out of his budget. I got mad at him and asked him why he lied to me and told me to waste my money on something else when he could have easily told me he couldn't afford it and I'd have bought it myself. He called me a spoiled brat and said I was expecting too much from him. I called him a piece of lying and left after that. Got a few texts from him and his friends calling me names and saying I'm using him for money. I also got a text from his mom, who I had a great relationship with, calling me childish for throwing temper tantrums when I don't get my way. I honestly don't see how I'm in the wrong here, but I'm not the type of person to not say sorry if I am. So, am I the asshole? Am I wrong for telling my coworker off in public after she announced to my students I was pregnant? We recently found out that we were pregnant. I, 26 female, was terrified as my family has had a rough go of miscarriages. I went to the doctor, everything was okay, but we were still only 8 weeks and things go wrong all the time. That night, my husband, 29 male, came home and said Karen, 63 female, yes, her real name, was digging into him at lunch asking if I was pregnant. He played it off and told her no. Husband and I are teachers in the same building. The next day, Karen came into my class and announced my pregnancy after guessing and no facts. I told her and my class no, just a routine physical. My 7th graders got awkward and pretended they didn't hear. She left my room and that evening I ran into her at a local restaurant. She kept asking me why I was avoiding her. I said I was upset and needed space. She didn't give me space. I warned her that if she asked one more time, I was not going to hold my tongue. She asked. I went on a rant about how inappropriate it was to assume pregnancy for anyone. If I was pregnant, she stole our thunder by starting a rumor. If I wasn't, she started a rumor that could be painful. I could have infertility issues and struggle to conceive or carry a child. I could have found out bad news at the doctor, or I could have been at the doctor doing biopsies for cancer. In short, she did not know and should not have dug. She scoffed and said, sorry, while walking away. A lady nearby came over and hugged me and said she was proud of how I handled myself. I wish more people of the older generation understood boundaries and praised people for sticking up for themselves. For the next 4 weeks, she refused to talk to me or my husband, talked trash about a program she helped me for and I implemented to our coworkers, and has acted like a child in any regard around us. But I lied to her. We are 13 weeks today. We announced our pregnancy last week, and Karen said she was so excited that she was right and asked if her and I were okay. I said I needed space, but she is constantly waving and in my face asking how I feel. I believe she is doing this in hopes I just get over it. But honestly, I don't know if I have the space to forgive her right now. So, am I the asshole for yelling at her in public and lying to her even when she was right? Am I wrong for canceling my brother's wedding? To make a novel short, my 27 female brother, 30 male, met his future wife, 28 Ella, at a party 3 years ago. Honestly, we never got along, but I always tried to put up a peaceful front because my brother seemed blissfully happy with her. Ella was mean to me a lot. Like, a lot. She would make comments about my weight, my makeup, and especially my dog. She hated animals and hated that I would bring my lab, Toast, to my parents' or my brother's house. It always just felt like something aimed to hurt me. When the two got engaged, she asked me to be her maid of honor since she has no sisters or many girlfriends, and since my brothers seemed thrilled, I obliged. What I failed to realize when I accepted the role was that her maid of honor meant planning the entire wedding. Like I was booking venues, florist, jazz band, everything. Even worse, she expected me to put my credit card down for all of it. My brother and her are not exactly well off, and since I have a well-paying job, I didn't mind holding the deposits, but it was starting to add up to a lot. Every time I asked Ella about him, she would say that it would all be paid back by her parents before the wedding. Well, flash forward to last week, about 3 weeks before the wedding, and she's unbearable to be around. She can't last more than a few sentences before snapping at anyone. So when I, of course, brought up the money, shit hit the fan. I asked if she had received the updated receipt of everything owed when she exploded. She called me a whole line of terrible names, but the one that stuck out was her saying, "What do you need the money for anyway? Your sick dog is dead now." My beautiful Toasty died about a month before this after he fought the bravest battle with cancer. He was my soul dog and I was devastated. I blinked at her and simply left the room, having no energy to even respond to something so cruel. I went back to my car, and after the 20 silent minute drive home, I parked the car and immediately called the vendors and canceled any deposit under my card. Every single one. After almost 20 calls, all that was left of her wedding was the dress and the flower arc. I texted my brother a short explanation. I told him that every vendor would be contacting him if they wished to keep their services and they were now responsible for covering everything, and that I would no longer be attending. It was a matter of minutes before my phone started to explode and I just turned it off. It's been a few days and I haven't talked to anyone but my mom, who thankfully understands where I was coming from. My brother has tried to call, but I just feel terrible, both about what I did and about what she said. I know what I did was extreme, but I also couldn't sit by and practically enable her cruelty anymore. I still can't help but feel bad for ruining my brother's big day. So I don't know, am I the asshole for this? I'm considering leaving my fiance because of what his ex told me. I, 25 female, have been with my fiance Sean, 35 male, for 3 years. He proposed to me in December and I happily agreed. I've met and like his family a lot, and likewise for him. Our circle of friends have come together. We have a dog and are saving for a wedding and a house. I'll note that I am an immigrant from an Eastern Europe country while he is fully American. Sean had a previous long-term relationship before me with Kate, 30 female, and he's been open about it. He told me that they were together for a few years but had an amicable split because of differing ideas about their future. He wanted to settle down and she did not, his words. He said they had no kids or assets, so it was easy to split. I've never met or spoken with Kate before. His family doesn't bring her up. When we got engaged, I didn't want to share it online until we got some professional photos taken. I have a large following on Insta, which we took a couple of weeks ago. I just received them last week and posted a couple of pics announcing our engagement. The very next day, Kate DM'd me. I knew it was her because the name matched and I recognized her picture from my fiance's old posts. She was very direct and said that I need to know the truth about Sean. According to her, they did not break up amicably, but rather he left her when she received a serious medical diagnosis. Also, they had apparently been married. I did not believe her at first, but she sent me lots of proof. Marriage license, hospital bills, even a selfie she had with him in the hospital. I decided to speak with her on the phone and she just told me everything. She said it's her life mission to warn other women about him while she can. I was and still am stunned. In my culture, family and loved ones are more important than anything. My mom cares for my ailing dad, as do me and my siblings. Marriages and family are truly in sickness or in health. If I got sick, would he leave me? What about our future kids? I believe Kate, but I'm also torn on what to do. I haven't spoken to Sean about this yet. This might be a deal breaker for me.
Am I in the wrong for doting on my buddy's pregnant wife? My best friend Chris and I are both expecting our first babies with our wives. My wife is 36-ish weeks pregnant and I believe Chris's wife, Polly, is somewhere around 28 weeks. Chris and I are very different in how we treat our wives with their pregnancies. Like, Chris still has Polly do a lot, whereas I will take the weight off my wife in literally any single possible way that I can, even small things. Mainly because I feel utterly useless and I don't want my wife straining herself to do things I could easily do myself while she's growing my baby and uncomfortable anyway. But I guess I messed up the other day. So Chris and Polly invited us out to their boat to go swimming and fishing. My wife was a bit uncomfortable because she's getting close to her due date and is just afraid of going into early labor, so her anxiety has been a bit heavier than usual. Well, Chris kept asking Polly to get up and do shit for him, and I would go right behind her and be like, "No, sit down, I've got it," and essentially do the same thing I would do with my own wife. Well, there's a store along the lake that we stopped off at so I could grab some beers, and Polly asked me to grab her a few things. So I did, a mixture of both snacks and drinks, like 4 to 5 items. When I got back to the boat, my wife looked in the bag I got and was immediately pissed off and didn't talk to anyone for easily an hour. I had no idea why she was so upset. So when we stopped off and Chris and Polly jumped in to swim, I asked what was wrong and she's like, "Pretty effing pathetic, you get her literally everything she asked for and you couldn't even get me the one thing that I asked for." I told her that I didn't hear her ask for anything and she said, "Yeah, because you were so busy doting on someone else's pregnant wife that you couldn't pay attention to what your own wife was saying." I truly didn't hear her. But then Chris gets back to the boat a bit later and looks at my wife and says, "Where's your drink?" And my wife just glared at me. So apparently my buddy heard my wife, but I didn't. which of course just adds fuel to my wife's anger because it looks really bad. I was right beside my wife and Chris was on the other side of the boat, so I should have heard her. Later on in the night, she told me that she's never been so uncomfortable in her life because Polly and Chris both noticed that I didn't get my wife the one thing that she asked for after getting Polly everything that she asked for, so it embarrassed her. And that she's not comfortable with me doting on Chris's wife at all, and that she doesn't want to hang out with them for a while because she's now insecure over this. I was just trying to be nice. So am I in the wrong here? Am I in the wrong for telling my boyfriend that I don't want his daughters in my apartment? I'm in a dilemma here because I know that people would think that I'm callous, but I don't think that I am. Give me your honest opinion. I, female 38, met my boyfriend, male 36, at a party 4 years ago and we hit it off immediately. I told him very on that I'm child-free because I know this is a turnoff for many men and I don't want to lead anybody on. After a month, he told me that he had 2 children, 11 and 12 now. I freaked out because I didn't know what to do. I liked him very much, but I didn't want to be a parental figure. He said that I didn't have to. He has shared custody with his ex, and me and him would meet the weeks that he doesn't have custody. Now, he basically lives in my place the weeks that his daughters are with their mother. We said we loved each other very early on, and we decided that this arrangement worked for us, and to break up the moment that it didn't work anymore. I could see myself with him forever. I love him to bits. I love our life together. I love missing him when he's with his family. He proposed to me a month ago and I didn't know what he meant, but he said that we didn't need to get married, but he just wanted me to have a ring. I thought it was romantic. Anyway, a week later, he took his girls to my place for a weekend. His ex was sick and he didn't want the girls to get infected. I asked him if maybe he wanted to be with his daughters instead, but he said that he would miss me since it's our week. I said okay. I have met his girls on many occasions and they're lovely, so I had no problems more than I felt a bit awkward. Last week I got home and he had dropped his girls off in my apartment. They were in my closet trying on my heels and clothes. I was freaking out, so I called him. He said, yeah, change of plans. He and his ex switched, so the girls are staying with us. When he got home, I told him that I couldn't do this. If he was having problems with our arrangement, then I understand, but I still don't want children in my place. He called me an a-hole because his girls have done nothing and are polite, etc. He loves me and we're engaged. Did I expect us to have 2 separate lives when we're together for 4 years and love each other? I'm tired of men thinking that I don't really mean it when I say that I don't want children. I love him and I do want to be with him, and I see our future when his girls are old and left the home and we could live together and even get married. But I don't think that I'm being an a-hole. Yes, our way may be not traditional, but my love for him is not lesser for it. Am I in the wrong for not wanting my autistic cousin at my child-free wedding? Next spring, I'm getting married to the love of my life. We have decided that we don't want children at our wedding. Not many of our friends and family have young children, and the ones that do are fine with getting a sitter for the weekend since we gave them a lot of notice. The only ones to put up a fight are my aunt and uncle who have a daughter with autism. She's 20, but will be 21 by the time that my wedding comes around. She is what they call high functioning, which means that she can talk and wash and dress herself. And she has some friends. She graduated from high school a couple years ago and is currently living with her parents while working at a grocery store. Despite her being technically an adult, I just don't see her as such. Every time I talk to her at a family gathering, it's like talking to a child. She's obsessed with toy ponies and Barbie dolls and brings them up at every opportunity. She draws in her notebook constantly and never makes eye contact when talking to me. She doesn't have loud meltdowns like other special needs kids that I met before, but I really don't want to risk her ruining my special day. I told my aunt and uncle that I didn't want her there and they became very upset. They said that she already saw the invite and knew it was child-free, but because she's an adult, she thought that she's still included. My aunt tried to guilt me by saying that she'd already picked out a dress and gift, but I didn't want to hear it. My fiance says that I'm being an a-hole and that we should let her attend because she's attended other weddings before with no issue. Everyone is making me feel horrible for not treating her like an adult when she doesn't act like one. So, am I in the wrong?